Forensic Officer Sergeant Thabo Mosia has contradicted himself under cross-examination in the Senzo Meyiwa murder. This trial, underway in the High Court in Pretoria. Mosia was part of the team that collected evidence from the crime scene the night the soccer star was shot. He's been adamant that the purity of the scene was kept, but today, while reading through an affidavit he gave police, he conceded that it may have been compromised. 5 men are standing trial for the death of the former Bafana and Orlando Pirates goalkeeper Mosia. Mosia is the first state witness to take the stand in the long-awaited trial. This is the second week he's been detailing what he witnessed when he arrived at the Vosloorus scene 4 hours after the shooting took place. Defense for 4 of the accused, advocate Malisela Tifo, has poked holes in Mosia's evidence and accused him of contradictory statements. Well, for more on this story, let's cross now to my colleague, Griselda Lewis, who's been following proceedings. A very good afternoon to you, Griselda. Thanks very much for joining us. Just give us a roundup of what's taken place this morning.
Well, Nombo, it had become quite clear yesterday that the focus of today's cross-examination will be around an affidavit that was deposed by the forensic detective Thabo Mosia, and this was in June 2019. In that affidavit, if we could just take a look at what he said when he had read it out in court. It basically said that the delays before reporting the matter to the relevant role players in this matter might have compromised the murder crime scene. That is what was contained in that affidavit that he deposed in 2019 when he was asked to give an account of what took place at the scene. But you would recall that yesterday, consistently, when the defense advocate Malisela Tifo, who was representing 4 of the 5 accused, had asked him whether he believed that the crime scene had been compromised, he said no, he did not believe so. He did not believe that at the time that he'd gone to the scene, nothing had given him the indication that the scene may have been tampered with. Essentially, the defense trying to poke holes between what he had said in his affidavit versus what he had said here in the court. You would also recall that the forensic detective had also said that he'd received a call from a Brigadier Pilani Ndlovu. And you remember that name, Nompo. It's a name that was brought up just a couple of weeks ago, where we had understood that Brigadier Pilani Ndlovu had passed away, and there were questions around whether he was due to be a witness in this particular matter. The National Prosecuting Authority at a later stage indicating that he was not due to be a witness. This name coming up once again, because according to the version of events that the forensic detective Mosia is giving, he says he received a call from a Brigadier Pilani Ndlovu, who had then basically told him about what had transpired and said that he should go to the hospital, and this is the hospital that Senzo Meyiwa was taken to. So in this particular instance, the defense advocate basically saying this is not the version of events that he had previously given. He did not say that he was told to go, not to the hospital, in fact, to the police station. Because you would recall that at the previous version of events that was given by the detective, he had indicated, forensic detective, he had indicated that he had gone to the police station out of his own volition to try and get an address for the crime scene, because he was not given that when he was told. Indeed, you indicated part of what was said there. He said that the incident of the crime scene had been reported 4 hours later, and that the crime scene address was not yet known at the time that it was reported. So hinging on part of what is being poked into here is that in that affidavit is the witness that is currently on the stand had indicated that because this had not been reported to the role players on time, it might have compromised, in his own words, the murder crime scene. So much of that is what had transpired in court here today. Let's take a listen to what part of that exchange included here in court this afternoon.
If I can take you to paragraph 10 as a relevant one, that you explain the way you find the scene. You explain your suspicion or your, let me not say suspicion, But I'll say suspicion reluctantly.
It's my
Your findings.
My viewing of the crime scene when
Yes.
on my arrival, my lord.
Indlela engabona ngayo uma ngabe ngifika lapha yana lokho ngikubhalile lapha paragraph 10 indlela engabona ngayo ngathi ngifika khona lapha.
Yeah, remember even yesterday we've talked about not the semantics, but when I needed to find your standpoint in relation to the last adjournment, whereby your contention was that you cannot be pursued. You cannot be convinced.
Well, Advocate Thabo had basically accused the forensic detective of being an untrustworthy witness and accusing him of trying to cover up for some of the blunders that the police had made at that crime scene. One of the other issues that took center stage before we went to break is that a lot of focus was put on the removal of Senzo Meyiwa's body from the crime scene, the primary crime scene, which would be the home, to the hospital. Questions asked about whether Mosia knew if Senzo Meyiwa had been declared dead already when he arrived at the hospital. He said that when he arrived at the hospital, the police officers that were there that later took him to the crime scene had told him that he had been declared dead there. And basically, Thabo indicating that those who had removed Senzo Meyiwa's body from the home were basically, in his own words, trying to dump Senzo Meyiwa's body at the mortuary. And the witness basically saying he cannot speak much on that. He can only speak on issues relating to the crime scene, what he did when he got there, and the photos that he had taken and the evidence that he had collected. We're due to start again at 2 o'clock after the lunch break.
Thanks very much there, my colleague Griselda Lewis.